This episode of Ange TV is brought to you by Tim Hortons, located at 3760 Boul des Sources in Dollard-Des-Ormeaux and 305 Rue Brunswick in Pointe-Claire, Quebec, Canada. Tim Hortons, always fresh, toujours frais. What is up, guys? We are live. Welcome back to the Ange TV show, guys. It is nice to see you all on this beautiful Tuesday, guys. I have another very special guest for you guys. Can't wait to bring him on. But before we bring him on, guys, I'm going to remind you to please, if you're new here, like, comment, subscribe, and share out these videos with all your friends. Guys, today's question of the day is posted at the top of the chat. The question is, guys, have you ever been to a comedy show? And when I mean a comedy show, a live comedy show, guys, I want to know how many of you guys go to comedy shows. So please answer that question at the top of the chat. And guys, I am ready to announce our new guest for today. He hails from Hamilton, Ontario. He's a pretty funny guy, guys, and I can't wait to get to know him more tonight. He goes by, guys, Marc-Anthony Sinagoga. How are you, Mark? How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
No problem. It's a pleasure, Mark. And by the way, is it Sinagoga or is it Goja?
Sinagoga.
Okay, so I figured it was Sinagoga. It's more Italian, you know?
I get every rendition possible.
Okay, cool. So, Mark, why don't you tell the viewers, who is Marc-Anthony Sinagoga?
I love these questions. I feel like I'm on a radio show, and I basically am, I guess. Yeah, I'm a stand-up comedian, born and raised in Richmond Hill, not Hamilton, but whatever. Oh, okay. I love Hamilton. I rep that place too. Yeah, born and raised Richmond Hill, Ontario. Been doing comedy for 10 years. Went to the Humber Comedy Program. Been doing comedy ever since. I kind of started when I was 18, getting into acting and content and stuff like that. And I just, trying to make it, man.
Absolutely. Wow, that's interesting. So why don't we go back a bit, Marc-Anthony? I want to know a bit about your childhood, like your parents growing up. Did you have any siblings? How did that all go down?
Yeah, so I got a nice little Italian family of 5. I got an older sister, younger brother,
nice.
2 parents, both massive Italian people. Grew up with all my nonnas and nonnos. One side of them had a farm and shit. So I was doing like the old school farmer Italian stuff growing up. Grew up in a nice little cul-de-sac. I don't know if you guys have those. I'm sure you do.
Have them,
yeah, cul-de-sac was just like full of different countries, and everybody was sort of like ESL, like English as second language. Yeah. So growing up in a super multicultural area where we would trade dishes and stuff like that, and that's where I kind of got a lot of my voices and performing in front of a bunch of people, because I was always the youngest kid out of all the kids that in the neighborhood. So always trying to like fit in with the cool kids or the older kids, making people laugh and stuff. So that's where you got, because you do a lot of impressions, a lot of sketch comedy. So you're saying that's where you kind of learned that, right? Yeah, always doing voices and accents since way back,
Awesome. Listen, the guy's a long-time comedian. Power to live comedy, guys. We're always supporting live comedy. So how did it start to get like kind of serious? Like you thought, I really like this. I want to be a comedian.
So basically, I got to give that to Humber, man, because Humber was, they kind of forced you to do everything. Like I didn't really have the dream or vision to go into stand-up. And I wouldn't have even never done it. Like I was never good at public speaking in school or anything like that. When you have to do speeches and stuff, like I was never into that kind of stuff. Okay. And then when you go to Humber, they make you do everything, So I remember first year Humber, they made us all sign up at Yuck Yucks. And we all had to go up and do our first 5 minutes. And, we were practicing it in class and stuff like that. And that's sort of when I kind of found it. Like, as soon as I went on, I got off stage, I was like, this is it. I found it. I'm locked in. I've been doing it ever since.
So I hear Yuck Yuck a lot, like, because I have a lot of comedian friends and they talk about Yuck Yuck. Where is it located? Is it in Montreal?
No, so there's a bunch of them all across Canada. But the main one is in Toronto at Richmond Street, the original location. They've got Ajax, Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton. They've got them kind of in every major city except Montreal, and except all of Quebec. I think Quebec's got its own star system, so I think they kind of leave that alone, you know. So
it's like it's a comedy club across Canada, right?
Yeah, it's a franchise. Yeah, it's a comedy franchise. Yeah.
Wow, cool. So Marc Anthony, there's a lot of comedians out there. Everybody has their own style, right? Like I said, we're seeing a lot of like Instagram comedy too. People that just do exclusively Instagram comedy. But talking about you, Marc Anthony, how is your style of comedy different from any like if you were to sell a show, and what can you tell people? Come and see me, like, because of this.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. You know, I think that my stories are original. You know what I mean? I don't. Hey, Ipatsi Entertainment, what's going on, guys? Yeah. So my family stuff is original. All my stories are original. They're all based out of true real life stories, and I feel like when you really stick to that, no one can really steal your stuff. So I got a really storytelling style of material, and I try to add as many people into the story at once. So there's a lot of different characters in the story, so you're going to feel like you're listening to multiple different people in the story, you know. That with a little bit of high energy and intensity, and you got yourself a show.
Nice. You know what, Marc Anthony? You know, I see a lot of you and me because when I started on you, and I'm not a comedian, like I'll just tell you right away, I'm not a comedian. But when I started on YouTube, my first type of videos were sketch comedy videos. They were story times, and they were some of my biggest hits. Like I did the random stories about when I went to Walmart, and there was a guy that tried to trade in, he tried to trade a shampoo for a deodorant. Like little funny things like that happens during, and those are the funniest stories I find. No.
Yeah, exactly. Well, here's the thing. Like, you're also going to tell it authentically, like it happened to you. So there's no like memorization of the story, or like, you know, all of you is in the bit. So you're telling it 100% like you're telling it to your friends. And, you know, you can't really replace that, you know, authenticity that you bring to the story, you know?
Absolutely. Raul was asking, Mark, are you a Latino?
I am not a Latino. 100% Italian.
I think he's asking that because there's the Marc Anthony that went out with Jennifer Lopez. So I guess that's where you went to get.
I get it all the time, buddy. If I had $1 every time I heard that, I would.
So you get Latino a lot.
All the time. People are like, "Where's J-Lo? What do you?" I have an opening joke about it. All the time. Okay. Yeah.
Interesting. Sugar Sean P's in the building. What's up? He's from Ireland. He says, "What's up, Broly Oli?"
Nice. What's up, buddy? What's his name? Sugar
Sean P. I don't actually know his real name. That's just like his cover name. So, but anyways, I just know that he's from Ireland. That's all I know.
Nice.
So this is actually like an in-your-face question right now, like at the beginning of the interview. But let's be real. I mean, a lot of people bomb. I think everybody's probably bombed at least once. Did you ever bomb, Marc Anthony?
Oh, for sure, man. You're definitely you're not bulletproof to the bomb. You know, the game will bring you down. So like, yeah, you're not immune to the bombing. One of the worst ones I did was the first corporate I ever did. I did a corporate once at Deerhurst. It's like a resort that people do like these big conferences and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they introduced me as the funniest man in the world for some reason. And it was the first corporate I ever did. I had to do a full hour, and it was the first time I ever did a full hour.
Wow.
And the guy who was on before me worked for the company and was doing all these like inside jokes of like, oh yeah, just like Bill's wife, oh yeah, just like the boss's daughter, like, so like they were dying because they all knew each other. And then I went up there doing my bits, and no one was having it. It was 45 minutes of silence. Ouch. Everybody rated it the worst part of the entire weekend.
Oh my God. Okay, but how did it feel, like, you know, feeling like you failed? Like, how did it feel? Like, listen, I mean, most people, it's like they're boxers. Like, they're like, yeah, I'm 40-0. Like, I did all kinds of great shows, and then I never got knocked out, whatever. But, you know, like, how did it feel to lose? Like, to like, you know, this is embarrassing, you know?
Oh, it's terrible, dude. Like, I mean, especially because like the guy who hired me was one of my dad's close friends. So like they kind of did me a favor to let me perform for them. And like, you know, they paid me well and all that kind of stuff. They gave me a place to stay and all that shit. So like, it was just brutal because all of these people, like quite a few of them knew who I was. And then when they all left the weekend, and they all got to rate worst part of the weekend, worst entertainment.
Oh my God.
I got the worst hired entertainment ever in their entire company, like that they've ever done for any Christmas party ever did. I was gutted. Like I didn't even stay the night. I was like an hour and a half away from home. I just drove straight home, just in silence.
But
Not
this
even
was
the
at the
keynote.
beginning of your comedy career?
It was like at the beginning of like my corporate comedy career, like just
Okay.
when I started to finally do corporate shows and stuff like that,
Yeah.
just because they pay well, and you go to these
Of
corporate
course.
Christmas
You
parties
need
and
to get
stuff.
those corporate parties. Like that's big money,
Huge money, yeah. So like I tried to get into it as much as possible, and brother, it was a disaster.
But did you do it again after that?
Yeah, now I do corporates all the time. So
And it goes, how does it go?
oh, it goes great. I think I was too in my head, like, when you're really young, you think that they're judging you because they're older than you. They don't take you serious because you're young and all this.
Yeah.
So you think like, oh, all these people in suits and ties that make all this money are above you and stuff like that. And now it's a different mentality where like, they've hired me to entertain them. So it's a little bit of a power shift mentally, if that makes sense,
So it was a tough crowd, put it that way, right?
Oh, it was the worst. It was the worst.
And that happens. A lot of people don't realize, but like you could be doing like Italian jokes in like Saskatchewan, and nobody's gonna understand because it's not really an Italian area, right?
Legit, yeah. I mean, I've done a good job of making those people understand the Italian jokes. But man, even in Toronto, man, I've done some shows where like I'm working on some new stuff. 10 minutes of silence, and I'm like, wow, they didn't like any of that. Okay,
Unbelievable. But I find like if you're a seasoned comedian, like a lot of times you're able to recover from jokes that people didn't laugh from. You know what I mean?
for sure, yeah. And dude, honestly, sometimes it could just be your own attitude towards going on stage in that moment. Like you could just not be in the mood, or I don't know, whatever. The jokes are coming out like I don't know, dishonestly, or you're not giving it any energy, or you're messing up some words here and there because it's new. So it could be anything. Or
And
you
I
could
find
just
that most of the funny jokes, they come from the audience. There's something funny about the audience, or maybe a couple like roasting somebody. Like I find those are the funniest jokes, eh?
oh yeah. The crowd work stuff is great. You get a lot of good stuff, and then everyone feels like they're part of the joke. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you are also an actor, Marc-Anthony. I want to know, like, what I saw you were on like some kind of a best-selling movie, but what movies were you in?
So basically, I'm in the independent film scene in the city for
Okay.
most of these things. Yeah. So none of them are like massive. A few of them got picked up. Like one of them got picked up. It's called Because We Are, which is a big one that's streaming on Amazon Prime. There's another one called Darts that's coming out. It's a comedy movie basically about darts. Another one that's winning all these independent film festivals is a sitcom show called Audition. And I think that's it. I'm working on a few other ones right now that I'm writing, so keep an eye out. Yeah.
Awesome. Listen, I think it's everybody's dream to be in a movie. But I want to know something, Marc-Anthony. You've done it. How many movies have you done now?
Only 4, I think.
4. Okay. Well, you've done it. Put it this way.
Yeah.
Most people could say that they don't have any experience. How is it being on set, especially now with COVID, with the masks and everything? Like, is it long? Like, what's the reality of being on set?
I mean, I think it's a lot of fun. Like, you realistically, you're getting paid to act, so that's always great, and not a lot of people get that opportunity. So that's a lot of fun. Being on set is great. Like, you got the craft services table, so like the food is catered steady. They just want you to be full, and warm. You know what I mean? So like they're always taking care of you, which feels great. And a lot of it is waiting around. Like it's 12-hour days because you're waiting for the lighting team to set up over here and the camera team to set up over, like, so there's a lot of that kind of stuff going on.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like probably 70% waiting and 30% of you eating and knowing your lines,
And a lot of people like that are extras. Some of them, they don't even go on. You know what I mean? Like they're just sitting down there all day, whatever. Which is kind of cool too. You're getting paid to just sit down, but at the end of the day, like most people do this because they want to get noticed by the producer, right?
Yeah.
I mean the director, but you know what I mean, the producer's director.
Oh no, yeah, man. I mean, in the end of the day, like when you do one and then you do another one, you start to notice it's the same kind of people always around. Like it's a very small community that kind of runs everything. So like once you get into it, they
part of that circle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sugar Sean P says thoughts on Joey Coco Diaz as a comedian.
Oh, dude, Diaz is the best, man. He kills me. Like his morning rituals where he like smokes a bowl and has an espresso, and he's just like, "Fuck it, guys, do what you gotta do. Fuck everybody. Don't listen to the haters. Do
Yeah.
it again. Don't listen to nobody." Like, dude, he would be the best guy to have like, wake you up in the morning.
Wow. Wasn't he on the Many Saints of Newark movie?
I think so.
I think so. Joey Diaz. Yeah, he played
Yeah, very good.
Pussy's dad.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's in that other movie, the football movie too, with Adam Sandler.
Oh yeah, Longest Yard.
Oh, Longest Yard. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's in Longest Yard.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I want to know something, Marc Anthony. Like this would be probably like the Super Bowl of comedy, I would say. Just for laughs, right? I'm not sure if I'm pretty sure they have it in Toronto, actually, right?
They do, yeah.
I'm wondering, have you ever been to a Just for Laughs? Have you ever performed at a Just for Laughs?
No, I've never performed at the Just for Laughs in Montreal. They do a one in Toronto called Just for Laughs 42, which they just changed the name of that to Just for Laughs Toronto. I performed at that one. I've been to a bunch of shows at this one here, but I've never gone to the actual OG festival in Montreal. I refuse to go unless I get invited to perform. You know what I mean? I know a lot of comedians that go because they're like, oh, I want to check it out a couple times, and then again, I just don't want to be the comedian who's got like the +1 fucking lanyard trying to get in all these parties. Like, I'd rather, they've invited me there to perform, and that's it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. What does it take to be part of Just for Like? How do you get invited?
It's a pretty political driven process. Like, and they do bring in a lot of big names from all over the world. So when it comes down to the local talent, there's only so much room.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and every comedian under the sun is trying to submit to it. So
that's right.
You got to submit your video. You got to submit to make sure that you have the right type of jokes they're looking for a particular event, whether it's a dirty show, an ethnic show, or whatever, right? And if they've seen you before and you're not submitting anything new, you know what I mean? Like it's tough. You just got to keep submitting new material all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, everybody's trying to get it. It's like making the Italy team, right, for the World Cup.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah,
it's a pretty good comparison. Who's your favorite comedian, Marc Anthony? Like we all are inspired by somebody. I'm sure some of your material you like. How do I say this? There's like a comedian that you really like his style. Who would it be?
I've got a little bit of a list here. I can't just narrow it down to one. Like I like a lot of ones for certain reasons. Like I love Sebastian because he's Italian, and I relate to that stuff the most. And he's like, well, probably one of the first, like, let's call it legitimate Italians, I guess, that are blown up to that level. So that's inspiring. I like Kevin Hart because, like, he kind of has created this rock star, like he's on another level of fame with comedy, and that's really cool. Where he's doing like football stadiums across America, which is great. In terms of material, I love Louis C.K. man because he's just. He takes topics, like I know he's not supposed to be talked about anymore, but he takes topics and words that we shouldn't even say or topics that we shouldn't talk about and makes them funny as fuck. Like him, Bill Burr, and Dave Chappelle, man, those three guys are the best, man.
Honestly, I like people that take it to the top. Like I just realized, like, it's one thing to like, oh, I'm not going to do these jokes because of like cancel culture, which we're going to talk about in a bit. But I like the people that push to the top. Like they push it, man. They talk about everything. There's no feelings. There's no being offended by it. Like it's just like, let's do it, and that's it. That's what I like.
Yeah, no, same, man, same. That's why I like those guys because, like, one of my favorite bits of all time by Louis C.K. He has a joke where he's talking about the N-word, and it's the best joke. It's in his chewed up comedy special. I obviously can't recite it because I'll get canceled right now. And he did it like 15 years ago. So there's. You got to watch it. I won't do it any justice. He talks about how, like, when people say on news, like when a news reporter says, oh, so-and-so said the N-word, they say the N-word. He's like, and all that does is put the real word in my head. And he's like, fuck you, you say it. He's like, don't make me say it in my head. You know what I mean? He's like the N-word. Oh, they mean, you know what I mean? So it's great, dude. It's such a good joke.
Yeah, awesome. Sir Sean P said one of his favorite comedians, Scaldy Scanger. He's joking. It's one of his friends.
Oh, I was going to say I have no idea who that is.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of his friends from Ireland. There. What are your thoughts? We were just talking about it. Dark comedy, stuff like I wouldn't. Okay, well, Mike Ward with the Gabriel thing. Let's say talking about the war, talking about like it's just dark. Like there was one comedy show I saw. He was talking about the Nova Scotia shooting. How I couldn't believe like we were all like it was just silent, and then everybody laughed after, right? What are your thoughts on this, like censorship, dark cancel culture, doing dark comedy? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, here's the thing. I think cancel culture has no place in comedy, to be honest with you. I do think it ruins comedy. And that's what comedy's for. It's supposed to talk about all these topics and make light of it, and everything can be funny if done properly. Now, unfortunately, with that being said, there's going to be a lot of people that attempt to make these subjects funny and then fail at it because, the more risque the topic, the harder it is to make funny. So that's why I admire Louis C.K. so much and Dave Chappelle. So, but here's the thing. It's our job as comics to do that, to make everybody laugh about these things. And they hold comedians accountable for this as if we're changing laws or, hurting people's feelings and all this kind of stuff. And in the end of the day, it's like, they're just jokes. They're not meant for anything harmful at all. And people forget that sometimes and think we're politicians. So that drives me nuts. I love dark comedy. I think it's great. There's a niche for all of it. Everyone's got their flavor of comedy. So you have to have all flavors option. It's like a pizza, bro. If I want to eat it with pineapple, let me eat it with pineapple because that's the way I like it. Not me personally. But you know what I mean? So all the flavors have to be available. So it's like, I don't understand why they're trying to get rid of certain niche markets, to be honest with you,
Yeah, like I agree with you 100%. It should be an open playing field. Like a lot of the times the comedians, they open up by making fun of themselves. You know what I mean? So I don't see why, like, you're making fun of yourselves. Like, it's like, I think it's more political. It could be also like try to like tarnish a comedian, like cause drama. That has a lot to do with it too, But at the end of the day, I would just do what I want to do, say what I want to say, and deal with it later,
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So Marc Anthony, you do have a YouTube channel. Actually, you have a couple, but one of your own solo YouTube channels is MarcAnthonyTV. When did you start that, and what's that about?
So I started that when I started comedy, and I never really did anything with it. Like I always put stand-up sets on it and stuff like that. Some of them took off, some of them got eventually taken down, and then now I basically use it just for some content that I throw out there, some of my individual stuff. I've got a whole bunch of stand-up clips that I've just finally edited down that you're going to see on their little clips, like kind of go the Andrew Schultz style, speaking of dark comedy. So like that's sort of the plan, just to have a place for you to come and watch things that I do that you might not see anywhere else.
Wow, perfect. And then you have another channel with a buddy of yours, Austin Alexander, who's a comedian in Toronto, which I'm just discovering, by the way. It looks pretty cool, Marc Anthony. I saw your clip with he played Justin Trudeau and you played Doug Ford. It was hilarious.
Yeah. So basically, how we got started was like at the beginning of the pandemic, nobody was really willing to collaborate and get together and do videos. And he was, and I knew him from before, and we just started messaging each other, and we got together a couple of times with Nima and a couple other people, did some sketches, and we were all posting them on our own individual channels before. So then finally everybody started moving away, and COVID really locked everything down. And me and him were like, "Hey man, I'm still willing to break the rules here and drive over to your house or whatever, you know what I mean, and keep it going." And we were the only ones willing to do that for like the 2-3 years or however long it's been. So we basically did that. And just that's kind of how the channel started. We were like, okay, YouTube is flagging our individual channels for posting the same video. So let's just make our own, and everything we do together, we post there. Everything we do individually, we post on our individual. And if the characters, sometimes you'll see a lot of our own individual stuff on the MarcAnthonyAussie channel, but that's because we've thought of them together or whatever. Like, we're just trying to drive it all into one place because we've gotten some good opportunities from the channel. So we're trying to keep that going.
Well, I listen, I took a look at it, and my God, some of the videos racked up tens of thousands of views.
Great.
I think it was a genius idea what you guys did, because a lot of people were looking for this type of content, and with all this political stuff and the stuff going on in the world, it was really funny what you did, and you did it really good. Ipachi's saying, speaking of politicians, Mark, how did Premier Doug Ford of Ontario character come to life? How did you make yourself look like Doug Ford?
So basically, I was sitting there going, okay, I think Toronto or Canada should have a Saturday Night Live. And if they did, if this country had a Saturday Night Live, Doug Ford would be a character played by somebody. Justin Trudeau would be played by somebody. Like all these people would be played by somebody.
So they
There'd
should
be
do it. Like I don't know why they don't.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm fat. Doug Ford's fat. Fuck it, let's do it, right? So, and then I was like, okay, he's got white eyebrows. I put the white paint on, and like his hair is white. I tried to figure that out. It looks like shit, but whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I came up with this character that basically was like what I think Doug Ford actually is behind closed doors. Like I know it's not a good impression, but like I the way he is at his cottage or like this just loose, like once he takes the tie off, he becomes a totally different guy. So I kind of play his alter ego type thing.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Like I said, I saw the videos. They were just unbelievable. So speaking of Ipatsi, you have a show coming up with Ipatsi. It's in April, I believe.
April 1st. Yeah.
April 1st. Okay. Right at the beginning of April. By the way, guys, get your tickets now because I saw Marc Anthony's story. There's only 20 tickets left.
Yeah.
You have the link on your bio on Instagram, right?
I believe I do. I think so.
Okay, guys,
If I don't, it's on one of the posts that I've made before.
Exactly. Guys, go and follow Marc Anthony on Instagram. His Instagram is in the description of this video. So go check it out. If you're interested in the show, it's in the Vaughan.
Yeah.
It's in Vaughan, which is what the greater Toronto area, I would say.
Yeah, it's basically like, the Italian neighborhood of Ontario.
That's right, guys. So if you're really listen, guys, it's gonna be a nice show. It's been a long time with COVID. We've been sitting like just inside doing nothing. Finally, we're gonna be able to dance a bit, eat a bit, laugh a bit. So, guys, seriously, if I was in Vaughan, I would be there right now waiting in a campsite. So, guys, seriously, go if you're in the area. I highly suggest you go get it. There's some awesome comedians along with Marc Anthony, so that's gonna be awesome. So, what can we expect from the Datsa Enough comedy show, Marc Anthony?
I mean, it's gonna be great. Like, they got the massive banquet hall, man. It's like an open bar. It's 4 or 5 course meal, which right there is worth the price. And then after that, you've got I'll be hosting the show. I'll be doing some Italian stuff, some non-Italian stuff. Then you got Luciciliano Montreal, who's going to be on the show, who's massive in Montreal. And then we've got Luciciliano Regato, who's also going to be on the show, who's like just in the Italian community, man. That guy's an animal.
I saw him live, and I was very impressed. I saw him at the Vic DiBettero show. It was very good.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so he's got a ton of Italian stuff, a lot of non-Italian stuff. There's going to be a lot of English-speaking comedy. So if there's anyone there who's like, is it going to be all in Italian? The answer is no. So it's open to everybody. I know it's going to be open bar. They're going to keep the party going all night, man. It's going to be great. It's just going to be a full night of just, like you said, food, funny, and dancing, and the whole spiel.
Nice. I'm sure you're really excited about it. Nick, I actually work with Nick. He's very excited about it too. He's doing the trek to Toronto. So as a comedian, Marc Anthony, you have like certain services that you offer, right? I'm just curious, what's the extent of the services that you offer?
Basically anything to do with a microphone, man. I've done it all. Like I've emceed weddings, baby showers, baptisms, like you name it, man. Anything where they want someone to MC the event and run the night on the microphone. Anything to do with being funny on a microphone, I can do it. Corporate events, running your town hall meetings, virtual comedy events, live comedy events, rib fests, food truck events, like you name it. Anything where you need somebody funny and entertaining on the microphone, man, I can do it.
Nice. Well, especially that everything's opening up, guys. There's a lot more parties coming. So you get pretty busy in the summer, I'm assuming, right?
Well, in the summer, like a lot of it's weddings because stand-up comedy itself dies down a little bit because people want to go outside. So that's why I do a lot of the MC work, and then a lot of writing work too. Like a lot of companies that want help punching up their script for their commercials, they hire comedians. I do that stuff as well, the writing consultation and stuff. So yeah, man, that's pretty much it. That's why I keep the online content going all the time. So I'm not funny in person, I'm funny online, you know?
Yeah, I can see you're growing your social media. It's awesome, Marc Anthony. Out of your whole career so far, you have a young career, right? What was the most memorable moment? Something you could be like, oh my God, this was a great moment in like my comedy, like, wow, what a show, or something that you achieved, or
that's a good question. I did a show at the Queen Elizabeth Theatre once, and it was a sold out show, and it was probably one of my favorite moments of comedy. That and going to the UK, but we'll start with this one, Queen Elizabeth Theatre, and at that time, my wife was with me. She goes, "Oh, I don't think these jokes that you do are funny. Like, there's a couple of jokes that I had." She's like, "I don't think they're funny. You should write new ones. Get rid of those." And I'm like, "Just watch." And like, I didn't even have time to finish the rest of my set because it was going so ridiculously well. And in a theater, man, like, it was one of the first times I played a sold out theater, and you can't over talk the laughs. Like, you got to wait till the laughs finish because they're so loud and there's so many people, right? So like, that was one of my favorite moments.
So you made everybody laugh. People were probably like standing up for encores and everything.
Yeah, man. People were going crazy, dude. Like, same thing. I've had a few of those where like there's a show in Toronto, the Nubian show. It's a all black show, all black audience, and
Oh my God.
when black people love you, bro, they start throwing stuff. They start hitting the walls. They start standing up. So it's fantastic. It's fantastic. I might get canceled for just saying that, but it's true. And even in the UK, man, one time I was super nervous. I went out to the UK to do the Edinburgh Festival and stuff, and I was super nervous about how my comedy would do out there. And man, it was just 10 times better than I thought it would go. And I was playing the Comedy Store out there, and like, same thing, where like just massive applause breaks. Like, you know, let's say I had a 15-minute set, I would do 5 minutes worth of jokes, and it would last the full 15 minutes because the laughs were so big and so long.
What do they laugh about in the UK?
They really like the you being from somewhere else. Like, they like what, like, you know what I mean? You kind of spend the day looking around on how things are there, and like, they like hearing what we have to say about where they live and how they operate, and like, you know, they like big energy and a lot of like, they don't get that over there. Like, it's very dry and not
like toast.
Big energy. Yeah. So when you come out there with a lot of energy telling stories, like, it's different for them, right? So they love it.
Nice. Would you consider yourself a semi-pro comedian?
I don't know. I would. I make a full-time living off of it, so I would consider myself a professional. But I mean, that I've been doing it for 10 years. I'm new to the Italian side of things, only because, you know, I didn't want to get locked into one side of comedy a little bit. So I tried my best to not do those shows. No offense to a posse or anything, but yeah. So I've been doing it for 10 years. I do all the corporates. So I mean, I don't know. I've argued with comics about that. Like, when are you considered a professional? You know. So
I know. You know what? It's like I'm asking you, and like I said, it's true. It's hard to really tell. But to me, okay. Like, I mean, if you're doing shows with a couple hundred people, and you know, like, if you're selling those tickets, to me, you're a semi-pro. Right. You know what I mean? Like, okay, to me, then pro would probably be mainstream, like a Maniscalco, a Chappelle. You know what I mean? But I'm saying, if you're selling out, you're not just doing open mics and stuff like that. Like, you have a couple hundred people, you're selling out the tickets. To me, you're a semi-pro.
Yes, and that was the argument I had the other day. The one comedian was saying that, where I was saying, I'm like, man, if I pay my bills and it's my main source of income, and like, that's how I pay my bills, I would say I'm a pro. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but exactly. I mean, everybody can look at it differently.
I'll take semi-pro. I don't give a fuck. I love it. I'll take it.
Well, you know what? I'll rephrase that. Look, if you could do that as your job, like, that's what you eat off and you pay your freaking mortgage off, then good for you, man. You know, like, that's impressive. It's not easy. Ipachi says, Mark, do you ever get nervous before a show, or are those days over now that you've been doing it for a while? So he's asking if you get any stage fright.
I mean, it depends on the show. Like, sometimes you're like, the window before you go on stage gets smaller and smaller. So like, before, I used to be nervous the whole day, whereas now it's like, depending on the show, sometimes it's 5 minutes before, I'll be like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm not sure with this joke if they're gonna like it. You know what I mean? So sometimes you get in your head a little bit before the show, and you get a little bit nervous. But I don't know if the nerves ever really go away. Like, I was listening to Kevin Hart talk about it, and like, those guys still all get nervous. But again, they're going out to the stadium, right? So you never know. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a little different. You
could get laryngitis. Like, I don't know. There's so, like, anything could happen. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, and there's a lot on the line. Like, look at Adele when she couldn't do her show because of COVID. I mean, she took it really bad. She did an Instagram post, but she did take it really bad. So, like, just to, like, when I go on live, I always get nervous no matter what. I mean, I have anxiety and everything. So a lot of people know that. But like, how do you calm those nerves though?
You don't, man. You just got to lean into it. I just take a couple of deep breaths. I'm like, well, I'm doing it anyways, so just go through it. That's it. You can only go through it, and then you realize that you were too much in your head and too nervous for no reason anyways.
So most of the time it goes smoothly, right, Mark, at this point?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. That's good to hear. But how do you deal with like those hecklers and at the shows and the online trolls and like all the people that criticize your comedy or yourself sometimes for no reason? How do you deal with those people?
I mean, honestly, man, I find myself is harder to deal with than the critics themselves,
Exactly.
because you know what I mean. Like, for example, Joe from Ipazio, he came to one of my shows in Hamilton. I was headlining in Hamilton, and I did all new material the entire time. So it was 45
Wow.
minutes of all new material,
Yeah.
headlining the show, and I was beating myself up for it the whole night afterwards more than anything. And people were coming out to me. Some people said it was okay. Some people said it was good. Not a lot of people understand comedy anyways, like from my side of things, like from
Yeah.
doing it, you know what I mean, and what I'm working on and all that kind of stuff. So like a lot of people, you know, if they don't find it funny, hey man, you know, I don't find every comedian funny either, you know.
It's
So
true, yeah.
it's true. So it's like, hey, I'm not your flavor, no problem. Like there's nothing I could do about it. You think I'm a dick? Oh well, fuck. What am I supposed to say? I can't spend time trying to convince you. You know what I mean? You don't find me funny, but try come see me one more time. Maybe I had a bad set, or you didn't like those jokes. Maybe I'll have jokes that you will like. Same thing with videos. Maybe you don't like the Doug Ford. Watch another video. If you watch all my shit and you still don't like me, you just don't like my style. No problem.
Yeah, but you know what? I have a couple of comments. Well, first of all, I want to tell you that I'm going and see the Sebastian Maniscalco show.
Huge.
It's in Montreal, dude. So it's a birthday gift from my girlfriend to me. So I'm really happy about that.
Nice.
Another thing I was gonna say, I'm forgetting right now. What were we just talking about, Marc-Anthony?
Criticism and people.
Oh yeah. It was the criticism there. No, I can't remember. I can't believe I forgot. You see, there you go. You bombed too. Yeah, I completely forgot my thought about the criticism, but anyways, whatever. My last question for you, Mark. Do you have any upcoming projects? Is there anything in the pipeline? Maybe new collabos, a show you want to like talk about, a personal show, whatever, or maybe content?
Yeah, I mean, I've got my first comedy albums coming out in a couple months. So keep an eye out for that. You'll be able to download it on all streaming platforms and stuff. I got some hard vinyls coming out.
Nice.
A new merch website dropping soon too, so you can grab some merch. A lot more sketches coming out on the Marc and Austin channel, and then of course the Ipazio Entertainment Show, man, April 1st. 20 tickets left. Probably now 5.
Guys.
Yeah, get your tickets.
And yeah, you did a lot of campaigning. I would say, like you went to like restaurants and stuff. It was really cool. Honestly, from Ipazio, I want to give you a round of applause, guys. Especially, I believe this is the first show for Ipazio, right?
Yep.
So listen, Joel. Like I said, I had him on. You guys have been doing a phenomenal job with the awareness, the marketing, and everything. Like, and you brought together 3 amazing comedians. Now I remembered what I was going to say, Mark. Okay.
Oh.
So I've been to quite a few of comedy shows locally. And like I said, the big one I went to was the Vic DiBattista one. And let me tell you, first of all, I was listening to I couldn't breathe. Vic DiBattista was like, you can tell, like when the guy gets on the stage, though, he uses the props. Like he'll go like an hour without even taking a breath. Like you can tell that this is just another level. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I really liked that show. And what I liked about that show is that there was only 3 comedians. There was Joe Cacchione that opened, and then there was them 2 were like I think Luciano was after, and then the main act was Vic DiBattista. So 3 was good. The more comedians you have, I find, in my opinion, it's harder to like them all. It's harder to find them all funny. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, no, I agree with you, man. Vic DiBattista, he's great, man. So much energy. And like you said, like this is why I say some comedians are professionals, even if they're not mainstream, because there's guys like Vic DiBattista who like they're not a household name, they're not selling out stadiums and stuff like that, but man, they're amazing. And like there's so many amazing comedians that you know are at that amazing level. They've been doing it for 25 years, but you know they're not Kevin Hart, but you know they're still incredible professionals. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. But like I said, you know, you go to a local comedy show, and usually it's the local ones that there's like, let's say it could be up to 6, 7 people. I would say like most of them are like great, but then there's always that 1 or 2 you're just like, what was that? You know?
Yeah. Oh, I hear you. Yeah. Sometimes that's all for the open mics, man. Sometimes
exactly that's the difference. You know, like, and you know what I find, Mark? I don't know if you get this, but like, I find like recently, like before it was like, okay, you do Italian jokes, you do Indian jokes, you do whatever. Now it's like, oh yeah, but I can't have you on because I have an Italian guy already. You know, like a guy that does Italian jokes. You know what I mean? Like I find there's so much of that going on right now. It's like I don't even know why.
It's all politics, man. Everybody's catering to an audience that doesn't exist. In my opinion, man, you're funny or you're not, and that's it. I don't care what you talk about, as long as it's funny, and that's it. And that's the problem. Like, so many people are worried, like, oh, I don't know if I can have you on because you do an accent and it's racist. So it's like, brother, if I get them all laughing, what do you give a shit? So.
We have the Gruffalo in the building. He's like the Ange TV show, like little mythical creature.
yeah, exactly.
What's up, Gruffalo? Listen, Marc Anthony, you've been amazing. Let me give a round of applause, buddy. This was an awesome impromptu interview. It was great, Marc Anthony. Guys, go check out Marc Anthony's stuff. It's not Marc Anthony, right?
Yeah.
It's in the description, guys. Go give him a follow. Check out the show. That's Enough Comedy, guys. It's happening April 1st. You guys are going to have the time of your lives. I'm sure there's going to be all kinds of women too, right?
For sure.
Women love comedy, right?
Women love comedy.
And
Everyone
it's
likes
International Women's Day, guys. So shout out to all the women out there, the moms, the sisters, and the girlfriends and all that stuff. Guys, thank you very much for coming on. Next week, we have the Geek Salad podcast. It's in the building. They messaged me. They wanted to come on, so why not? Melanie Scarfell's in the building. Thank you very much. She said, great interview. And always, guys, as always, you could catch the interview again on the replay, guys. So that's awesome. Guys, me and Marc Anthony are going to be signing out. Take care, guys. Good night. Ciao.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me, man.
No problem.
Thanks.